What is it like for a human soul to be born into a world where inversion is already active? What does it mean to live inside a reality that is still good, still ordered, but misvalued? That's the next step. After that, we'll come back to Christ, not as a patch, not as a moral teacher, but as the only possible way this system could ever be healed. Once you understand God, the Spirit, Christ before incarnation and inversion, the next question is unavoidable. What exactly is a human soul, and what is it like to live here? A human soul is emergent. You are not a pre-existing spiritual being dropped into a body. You don't float around waiting to be assigned a life. The Bible describes it very plainly. The body is formed, God breathes life, and then a living soul comes into existence. That matters, because it means the human soul comes online inside the system, not above it, not outside it, not with a God's eye view. You wake up in the world, and the world you wake up into is not neutral, not evil, not ruined, but misvalued. Good things are still good, but they don't present themselves as attractive. Bad things are still bad, but they advertise themselves as useful, efficient, or necessary. So from the very beginning, the human soul exists in tension between truth and distortion, alignment and inversion, light and shadow, without having full clarity about any of it. That's not a flaw. That's the condition that makes free will real, but it also makes life hard. Now here's how the soul actually navigates the world, and this is important. The soul doesn't experience good and evil as abstract categories. It experiences them as weights, what feels rewarding, what feels costly, what feels immediately satisfying, what feels like sacrifice. And here's the part the Bible never sugarcoats. In an inverted world, goodness costs more up front. Evil pays faster. That's why doing the right thing so often feels like losing. You tell the truth, and you pay for it. You restrain yourself, and someone else gets ahead. You forgive, and it looks like weakness. You sacrifice, and the world barely notices. Meanwhile, the shortcuts work, the lies work, the selfish moves work. At least for a while. That doesn't mean goodness is weak. It means the scoreboard is tilted. Scripture itself asks the question out loud. Why do the wicked prosper? That question only exists because the experience is real. So why does being good feel like it gets outweighed so quickly? Because goodness is not a transaction with the world. It's alignment with God. And alignment does not guarantee immediate environmental reward, especially in a system that's inverted. When a human soul chooses good in this world, three things happen. First, the soul becomes more coherent. Second, the inversion loses leverage. Third, and this is the hard one, the world may not change at all. That third part is where people break. Because we expect feedback, we expect results, we expect justice to show up on schedule. And when it doesn't, the soul starts asking the most dangerous question there is, what's the point? That's not rebellion. That's exhaustion. That's what an inverted system does. It makes goodness feel ineffective, even when it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Here's another hard truth my model doesn't dodge. Human souls are not built to outlast inversion by effort alone. They can recognize distortion. They can resist it for a while. They can make real moral choices. But over time, the cost adds up. Wariness creeps in. Cynicism follows. Hope starts leaking out. That's why just be a good person eventually collapses. Not because goodness is bad, but because it's outmatched without help. Sacrifice without hope becomes resentment. Moral effort without restoration becomes burnout. Trying harder becomes hollow. And that's the setup. Not for despair, but for honesty. Because once you actually understand what the human soul is dealing with, one conclusion becomes unavoidable. This system was never going to be fixed by effort, rules, or willpower. Something else has to enter the system. Not advice, not instruction, not inspiration. Correction at the source level. And that's why the model doesn't end with human striving. It ends with Christ. Not as a moral example, as intervention. That's the final piece. And that's where we're going next. Up to this point, we've established a few things that cannot be ignored. The world is good, but misvalued. Inversion is active. Human souls are real, moral, and fragile. Goodness is costly in the short term. Effort alone burns out. So the question becomes unavoidable. How does God fix the system without overriding free will, destroying creation, or pretending sin isn't real? The answer is not, try harder. The answer is... Open quote. If this helped you understand why your choices matter, please like and subscribe. Souls are not accidents. They're not disposable, and they're not neutral. Next we get to Christ, the resolution, not the patch. Grateful you're here.